In this episode, ExoLaunch partners with SpaceX to launch multiple small satellites. Intitutive Machines selects a landing site and launch date for its Nova C lander. And in Boca Chica, SN4 is stacked and ready to go. Starship Update. In the past few weeks, SpaceX has made remarkable progress in terms of SN4. It's quite hard to believe that just about 2 weeks ago, SN3 was destroyed in cryogenic pressure testing, and now SN4 is completely stacked. Taking a look back, on April 10th, the common bulkhead section with the integrated methane header tank was stacked on top of a section of the liquid oxygen tank. Also on April 10th, a new aft dome section was also integrated into a 3-ring barrel section. Within just a few hours, the next day on April 11th, the forward dome methane tank section was stacked on top of the common bulkhead methane tank section in LOX midsection. On April 15th, the new aft bulkhead section was mated to the engine skirt section that was reused from SN3. And finally on Friday, April 17th, the 2 remaining sections were mated. It's quite impressive how quickly SpaceX has completed stacking on SN4. Elon has previously mentioned the sub-goal of producing 100 Starships a year to support the megatons per year needed to make life multiplanetary. 100 Starships a year works out to be about 1 to 2 Starships produced or assembled per week. With its current pace of development, SpaceX appears to be moving closer towards its manufacturing goal while continuing to build out its assembly line. Elon's not worried about early Starship failures. In a tweet storm on Wednesday, April 15, Elon reiterated that production is by far the hardest part when it comes to Starship. That's why he's not super worried about early Starship failures. He noted that the initial serial numbers are suboptimal, so they'd be lawn ornaments if they survive, although they'd be pretty sweet. That being said, despite Elon not being super worried about early Starship failure, I think we're all really hoping that Starship SN4 survives cryopressure tests and makes it past a static fire test and eventually to a hop test. Redesigning flaps and actuators. When asked about the possibility of SN4 performing that highly anticipated 20-kilometer hop test or a 150-meter hop test like Starhopper, Elon clarified that SN4 will not get flaps, so can only do flights with the engine on. According to Elon, SpaceX has recently decided to redesign the flaps, actuators, and static air design for Starship. We could expect to see the new designs on either SN5 or SN6. Speaking of SN5 and SN6, construction has already begun on critical components for those 2 vehicles. The new SN5 bulkheads were spotted on Saturday, April 11th, while several more rings have been spotted at the site. Road closures in Boca Chica are now scheduled for Monday, April 20th through April 28th. So this week, we should expect to see SN4 transported to the launch pad, and a few days later, we could probably expect those critical tests. ExoLaunch partners with SpaceX. On Tuesday, April 14th, German rideshare launch and deployment solutions provider ExoLaunch announced that it has selected SpaceX to launch multiple small satellites aboard a Falcon 9 rocket as part of SpaceX's SmallSat rideshare program. The agreement marks the first time ExoLaunch has partnered with SpaceX as a launch provider. The company has previously arranged launch campaigns for nearly 100 small satellites using various other launch providers. ExoLaunch hasn't unveiled its client list just yet for the SpaceX Rideshare flight, or the nature of the payloads on board. However, according to a statement made by ExoLaunch Commercial Director Jean Medvedeva, the company is accommodating several microsatellites below 100 kilograms and a cluster of CubeSats, which are European and US smallsats coming from their existing and new customers. The launch to Sun synchronous orbit is targeted for December 2020, demonstrating the ExoPort. As part of the mission, ExoLaunch also plans to demonstrate its new flexible multi-port adapter, ExoPort. According to the company's website, in the case of the Falcon 9 mission, ExoPorts will mount ExoLaunch's proprietary separation system to accommodate multiple payloads on a single Falcon 9 ESPA port. ExoLaunch's proprietary separation system includes a shock-free separation system Carbonix, the ExoPod CubeSat deployer, and the ExoBox sequencer, which manages the deployment of CubeSat clusters of up to 50 small satellites. ExoLaunch is really just an example of how much innovation is going on in the small satellite industry at this period in time. With this type of technology, along with SpaceX's rideshare program, there's now increased opportunity and increased access to space for not just scientists and engineers, but also for citizen scientists and students. Intitutive Machines selects landing site for IM-1 mission. In other SpaceX partner news, on April 13th, Houston-based startup Intitutive Machines announced that it has selected a landing site for its Nova C lander. as part of the IM-1 lunar mission. According to a statement released by the company, Intitutive Machines engineers have selected an area in Oceanus Procellarum, also known as the Ocean of Storms, near Valles Shorteri, or Schroeder's Valley, as the landing site for the IM-1 lunar mission. Oceanus Procellarum is located on the upper left side of the Moon's near side when viewed from the northern hemisphere on Earth. Ocean of Storms is the largest lunar marea, while Schroeder's Valley is the largest valley on the Moon, comparable in size to the Grand Canyon. NASA had previously considered this area as the landing site for the Apollo 18 mission prior to its cancellation. The company performed extensive analysis to pinpoint a flat 200-meter across landing site, free of large craters and rocks and with abundant sunlight throughout the 14-day lunar day. According to Intitutive Machines President and CEO Steve Altemus, this kind of lunar landing assessment hasn't been done since the 1972 Apollo missions. IM Vice President of Research and Development Dr. Tim Crane went on to expand on Altemus's statement, stating that the IM Flight Dynamics team managed to design this landing site that is supported across our primary and secondary 4-day launch day windows. No one in Houston has looked as seriously at landing sites for a funded lunar landing mission in almost 50 years. The launch is currently targeted for October 11, 2021 aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from LC-39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. As part of the mission, Intitutive Machines will deliver 5 payloads to the surface of the Moon for NASA as part of Eclipse task order. The mission was initially targeted for July 2021, but was later pushed back due to protests of the award by another Eclipse partner company, Deep Space Systems, who also bid on the contract. The matter was resolved after the Government Accountability Office denied the protest. In addition to Intitutive Machines, NASA has awarded Eclipse task order to Astrobotic and Massen Space Systems. Astrobotic's Peregrine lander is scheduled for launch in 2021 aboard ULA's Vulcan, while Massen Space Systems will send its XL-1 lander to the Moon's lunar south pole in 2022. It's quite an exciting time for space enthusiasts. While NASA and its commercial partners work on the wider goal of returning humans to the Moon by 2024, a date for Demo2 has finally been announced. On Friday, April 17th, NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine announced via Twitter that the highly anticipated launch is currently targeted for Wednesday, May 27, 2020 at 4:32 p.m. EDT. The historic mission will mark the first time in almost a decade that the U.S. returns astronauts to the ISS from its own soil on a U.S.-manufactured rocket. While we await Demo2 in the even nearer future, within this week, we could expect to see the next Starlink launch. The launch is currently targeted, reports say, for as early as April 22nd from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And this week, we should also expect some exciting developments in terms of SN4.